to talk real quick. There is a worksheet if you downloaded it. Oops, sorry, this way. If you're on my newsletter list, you already got this. If you are not on my newsletter list, you can sign up by going to Jodi Brandon editorial/join, and that will put you on my email list, but that will also get you this worksheet about SMART goals and book writing. So I'm sure you've heard of SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, time-bound, relevant, and time-bound. So we're just going to sort of talk about how that applies or can apply to book writing. Everybody does a lot of goal setting at the beginning of the year. A lot of people say at the beginning of the year they want to write a book. And so we're just going to sort of meld the two of those together a little bit, just talk about that just real quick today. So let's say you have a goal, and what you want to do first is just write it down as is. Write it down how it looks in your head right now. If that's write a book, if that's get in shape, if that, whatever it is, just a general goal as it is. So I'm going to use, obviously, as an example, the general goal of writing a book so that we can sort of walk through what that looks like when you make it a SMART goal. So another good one for this example would be to scale your business, because a lot of people use a book as a tool to scale their business. So, so specific. So saying you're going to write a book, totally not specific. That's not going to, there's no urgency to get that done with that general goal. So you want to make it specific. I want to write a book by June 2017, or I want to write a book in 2017, or I want to publish a book by the end of 2017. You want to put a time frame on it so that it's, when you know when it's going to happen. We'll talk about that again with time bound, but that's also part of being specific with it. So next is measurable, the M in SMART. How are you going to know when you've accomplished this goal? Is it you have a bound book in your hand? Is it your book is written and with an editor? I would say, obviously the big one for book writing would be if it is a bound book in your hand, or the book on your Kindle that someone can buy, or I've had clients when they do this exercise say that it's measurable when after they receive their first, royalty direct deposit from Amazon. So it's really, it can be any of those things. The important thing is that it has some sort of measurable element to it so that you can, track your success. Some people like to set the measurables even for the actual process itself, like not write the book, but write chapter 1, and then chapter 1 is written. That's a measurable goal. Chapter 2 is written. That's a measurable goal. The research is done. That's a measurable goal. So it depends on how deep you want to dive into the process. But for the general goal, when I have a finished book, then I know that I've written my book. So next is achievable. Is it achievable? Yes or no? I think there's a little more to it than that. So I would say, if I was going to write a book in 2017, we talked earlier, another lunch and learn earlier this year about non-negotiable days and events and those sorts of things. So you want to take all of that into consideration. What do you have coming up this year? Are you launching a big course this year? Are you having a baby this year? Are you moving an elderly relative into your home this year? Are you planning to take a sabbatical of 4 to 6 weeks this year? Those sort of bigger things than day-to-day, tasks and to-dos and everyday things that we deal with in our business, those all need to be taken into consideration, because if you're going to do that, if you want to write a book this year by the end of 2017, and you're doing one of those other, sort of big things, something's got to give somewhere. So it might be achievable, but it might not be achievable in 2017. So you want to answer that one honestly. Otherwise, you're going to be out of luck when push comes to shove down the road. So is it relevant? Yes or no? If your goal is to scale your business, then writing a book is relevant. Yes. If your goal is to become, to grow your list and grow your platform, then yes, writing a book is a relevant goal. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, whatever your goal is, fits into, your bigger plans for this year, for your 5-year plan, for your 10-year plan, for your 3-year plan, however, far ahead you you plan and you look. You want to make sure that you're not just writing a book because other people are writing a book, or, you know, well, I saw so-and-so was doing that, so I think I'll do that too. You don't want to do that. Writing a book is too much work and effort, and marketing a book is too much work and effort to just do it because someone else is doing it. You want to make sure you have, you know, a real, legit reason for doing it, and then it fits in with your bigger plans for you and for your business. So, and the last one is time bound. You know, give yourself a deadline, and that deadline is not, you know, someday. Like we talked about with specific at the beginning. You know, I want to write a book by the end of 2017, or I want to have my manuscript written by the end of April 2017, and then break it down. I'm going to write chapter 1 by this date. I'm going to write chapter 2 by this date. I'm going to write chapter 3 by this date. And you know, keep yourself on target that way. The more vague you are as you think about these, you know, SMART, specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, realistic, relevant, or time bound, the more specific and concrete you are when you're identifying these on your worksheet, the more likely they are to happen. I mean, just like goals. I mean, goals, if you write them down, or I don't know what the percent is offhand. You've heard it, I'm sure. If you write your goals down, they're X% more likely to happen. Same thing here. You're writing them down, but you want to write them down in a really specific and concrete way to make them much more likely to happen. So then at the bottom of that worksheet there, once you've gone through the SMART, you're rewriting the goal from the top. You're rewriting it as a SMART goal. So that's really, I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, SMART goals are really, you can apply it to anything. I try to make all my goals, I write them out at the beginning of the year and then try and make them into SMART goals, so that I can keep myself on track as the year goes on. It's easier to check in on yourself that way, to get like a real answer if you're on target or not. If you write a book is on your goal list for this year and now it's the middle of February, if you say, hey, have I worked on that book yet? Oh yeah, I've thought about it. So you could convince yourself that now you're on track. But if you have some specific, you know, real goals written down with time attachments and deadlines attached to them, then you'll be able to see really, oh, by mid-February, I should have been at this point and I'm only at this point. I better, you know, start hustling a little bit. So that is it for today. Thank you for joining me.